Here we go. We're live. Ugh. Right. Okay, that's good. That's all good. Now, let's get that one done. And then we can minimize. Take that pop-out chat and go back to TikTok because TikTok will punish me. Punish me. Right. Okay. Well, let me do it. Let me try it again. Oh no, sugar. Oh, why the? Hey, cat, how we doing? I messaged you, by the way. Oh, hang on, just bear with me. I accidentally clicked my video editing tool, so it'll do its whole loading thing, and then I'll be straight into. Right, let me. If I put this. No, I'm pushing the wrong button. TikTok is annoying. I mean, sorry TikTok, you are a wonderful streaming platform that I am so glad that I partake in. Right. Oh, and the names are coming in. Woo-hoo. Right, okay. As always, it takes me a second to. I think Have I got all the chats here? Right, I'm streaming on multiple chats, so hi, are you settled in? I think so. Think I'm settled in. Thank you for asking. And you'll check later. That's perfect. Yeah, no worries. Just I broke my phone, guys. And I had to get a new one. So trying to connect everything together has been a nightmare. But I'll try and jump straight back into it. Those of you who are around on YouTube, tomorrow we're talking Christianity in Ireland, pagan and Christianity in Ireland, or pagan history and Christian history in Ireland. On tomorrow we'll be on Irish Medieval, linked in with Irish Medieval history, and Dr. Owen O'Neill at Forza Farsa channel, all on YouTube. So 10 p.m. Dublin time. Till whatever time it ends. So come across. But anyway, without further ado, let's get some of these names ticked off, shall we? And see if we can give you some of the thing. Okay, we'll go for the very first one's Sam, and she wanted O'Neill. So we'll that's a nice easy one because that one is so common in Ireland. If I can just get my Zoom button to work. Right, so obviously everyone, well not everyone, but most people will know the O'Neills of Ulster. They're probably the most numerous and most famous, although they're not the only O'Neills in Ireland. There are other branches that are unrelated, that bear the same name, and this is a common theme we will see all throughout surname histories in Ireland. So yeah, the most famous. So this is O'Neills of Ulster are they descend from or claim descent from semi-mythical figure Niall of the Nine Hostages, or Niall Nulgalach, but that's not where they get their surname from. They actually get their surname from Niall Glundubh, who was a king of Ulster in the I can't remember, the 14th century? 12th or 14th century. Anyway, but they don't get their O'Neill name from Niall of the Nine Hostages. Then the next branch is a smaller branch, the O'Neills of County Clare. They are unrelated. I do believe that one or two stories try to link them together, but they seem mostly later 19th century, 20th century concoctions. Most likely they are related to maybe the groups that already exist in this area, like the O'Loughlin's or the McCurtains. But yeah, they could be part of the Dalkosh, who were a tribal group from which like the O'Briens are known from. But yeah, the O'Neills have got. Then there's a smaller branch that's less known, and I don't have them written on here, but we'll get them anyway. They are. In fact, we could just put them on here. I suppose if I can find. I don't know where my tool plugins. I don't know where my toolbar is. I've lost my toolbar on Photoshop, so. But they are from around here, and they're part of the Dacia tribal group. So they're from the Waterford area. They're linked to the O'Whelans, or often anglicised to Whelan. So that's the O'Neills. So there's a group here too, all unrelated. So there you go. That's the O'Neills. So yeah, someone was asking there. Where does the David said hi? Where does Collins originally come from? Collins is they originally come from. Oh, if I could resume it, why? So they originally are from County Limerick, and they were part of a tribal group called the Iconogavra, but they ended up moving due to pressures from the Fitzgeralds and the O'Briens. They ended up being pushed down, and they migrated along with their kinsmen, the Murphys, etc., down into modern day County Cork. In about the 14th century, so which is why you get quite a lot of Collins around it. It's also a variation of a couple of other names as well, like Cullen, etc. So you just got to be careful. Obviously, not all Collins descend from the same line. It's like I said, it's a variation of a few names, but the group. Most Collinses will descend from, or clear descent from the this line. But like I say, there are a few other. Wherever you say it's similar variations of the name, they exist. So, hang on, I need to scroll back up. O'Hagans, I have a video on the O'Hagans on my channel. Hang on. I've been told my family name Kinney comes from County Clare. Is that true? Kinney is a name that has, again, it's got multiple origin reports. So Kinney is a variation of a few names, like the Scottish McKinnon. Can actually be anglicised to Kinney. Who else? There's a few other names. Kinney. I won't. Oh, there we go. It's moving again. Silly phone. Right. There we go. We're moving again. This isn't 100% right. So, McKinnon's, a load of the McKinnons could have come across with like the plantations of Ulster and settled in Ulster. But it's also, like I say, it's also a variation. Kinney's also a variation of McKenna. It's also a variation of McKenny. And it's also a variation of Keeney, which are all branches that are found all over Ireland. McKennies tend to be found in areas such as Tipperary, and McKennas can be found in Ulster. So, it's a variation of a number of names, but Kinney is also linked to the McKinnon. So there's a few links there. It's an anglicisation of a few names. So, and then just that actually leads us into this Thomas McKenna was asking. Okay. Oh god, no. Hang on. My YouTube chat is being a bit funny. YouTube. Okay, we're having a bit of a nightmare here. Okay, I'll come back to them. Who was it talking about again? I can't remember. Right, we'll just go. If I forgot, I can't remember who I was talking about, so I'll just go to a name, and then if you let me know who I was talking about, I will get back to it. McDade. I'm told it isn't Irish. Yeah, McDade is Irish. It's part of. Oh, I hate this. We'll go up here. There you go. McDade. It's a variation of McDavitt, McDavid, McDermott. They're all a variation of the same name, and they are a branch of the Ken O'Connells. They're related to the O'Dohertys, so they are very closely linked to the O'Dohertys. In fact, they had the O'Doherty's rebellion in 1609, where they sacked Derry. They were closely involved with that. I do believe the McDades / McDavitts were the foster father of the Tarnister, the heirs to the O'Dohertys. Kingdom, if you want to say tribal, you know. Oh, McKenna. Sorry, I do apologize. Yeah, sorry. We were talking about McKenna before I went into McDade's. Sorry. Oh God, it's because I've lost this blooming toolbar, so I'm all out of sorts. Right. So as I was saying, McKenna is It's an Ulster name. It's mostly associated with Monaghan. So yeah, you do get McKennas of like Irish McKennas, but you also get Scottish McKennas. And again, it's the same. It comes from Kinney, McKenna, McKenny. They all are Irish and English, Irish and Scottish branches that sort of have been anglicised the same way. So yeah, there's a lot of in the 17th century, a lot of families came across from Northern England and Scotland and settled in Ireland. A lot of places they would settle would be in the places where similar surnames already existed, which is kind of like, and it makes it a bit problematic whenever you're trying to find these names and their locations. McSweeney's, I have a full video, Sean. I have a full video of the McSweeney's on this channel. If you go to the videos, you go down. The McSweeney's, just as a brief point, they're a family from Argyll. They originally claim Irish descent from an Irish prince called Armaghan. Now Armaghan is said to have refused the kingdom of Donegal or Tyrconnell and moved to Scotland, where he became the progenitor of the McSweeneys and so many other families. And I don't know how true that is. You're talking, 6th, 7th century. DNA, I suppose, is the only thing that might prove that point. We do know a lot of Scottish families did try to claim Irish descent. But during the Scottish Wars of Independence, they sided against Robert the Bruce. I think they were part of the Balliol faction. Anyway, when Robert started to win the wars, the Civil War, and they turned to the English and asked for their lands back, the English said if they could take their castle from Robert Bruce's forces, he'd let them keep them, Castle Sween. They sieged the castle, they failed in their siege, and they fled to Ireland. And they became hired Gallowglass primarily for the O'Donnells, because they claimed to descent from Amrahan was a brother of the O'Donnells, ancestor. So they claim descent from the same line. So they worked very closely with the O'Donnells and were the second most powerful family in Donegal. But yeah, and they would have branches all over Ireland, as they were hired mercenaries from the 13th to the 16th century. So yeah, Campbell is a Scottish and Irish name. There are unrelated families. I have a video on TikTok about them. But basically, a Campbell, you've got the Argyll family in Scotland who are Campbells, and then you have the Irish Campbells. Obviously, many Campbells came across in the early modern period with the plantations of Ulster, so you do get a lot of Scottish descendants, Campbells. But you have Irish families as well, which always makes me sad whenever I hear never trust the Campbell. And I think to myself, well, there's Irish families called Campbell who were never anything to do with the Scottish Campbells, and they're getting lumped into the same boat. But yeah, these Campbells are actually a corruption of the name McCowell, and then we have another branch down south, who are a branch of the McCallanans. So these often are anglicised to Campbell as well. So you will get Irish and Scottish Campbells, who are totally unrelated but have the same surname. But obviously, if you Google it, most Campbell searches will come up with a Scottish name, which is must be frustrating for the Irish Campbells. Okay. O'Donovans is my father's family name. My great-great-granddad came from County Cork, but I heard in another video that they originally came from another county. Is this true? So, well, County Cork does encompass a large area. Modern County Cork, shall we say. It's basically half of Lower Munster. So, no, I do know there are... O'Donovan has a lot of branches, because it comes from a number of variations of the name. So yes, the O'Donovan, the most famous branch of O'Donovans is from Cork. They do come from Cork. They're part of the Owenocta family. They're part of the Owenocta tribe. So they do have the biggest branches from Munster, and they are originally from Limerick. So I think that's maybe where you're maybe seeing where it's been linked to somewhere else, that they are from another county, but they're found all over. So they're part of the Cabra. So that they're originally seated around where like the Collins were, but they were mostly pushed away by the O'Briens. The O'Briens pushed this branch out of Limerick. A lot of the Cabra Owenocta groups were pushed out by the O'Briens in the 11th century, before the rise of McCarthy. So you do get them in the south as well. So if you want to know a bit more about the Owenocta, I do have a little video on them, probably worth a nosy. Yeah, you can sort of see that then and get an idea of about the origins. Absolutely fascinating. Thanks. No, you're welcome, Sean. Not a problem at all. I hope you enjoy the video. It's an older video, so it's I do apologize about that. I do sometimes wish I should just do the an update and maybe a different variation of it. My great-great-grandmother was a Sheedy from Limerick. Do you know anything about them? Yeah, Sheedies tend to be... I don't know anything major about them. They tend to be found in Munster, and I do believe the only thing I know about them is that they claim descent from the Dalcosh, who are a O'Brien, like linked to the O'Briens, the McNamaras, all these sort of things. So, yeah, if you're... so there are Dalcash families. So this is the sort of, I suppose, their hotspot or their origin point is Limerick and is County Clare. Sorry, before ending up, which is why it's probably very common in places like Tipperary, Limerick, and Cork. So. Caveman Graffiti, welcome back. It's great to see you again. I hope you had a good day, dude. Thanks for your research. It's incredibly valued. Thank you very much for your comment. It's also incredibly valued. Thank you so very much. Yeah, I actually lost. I have to apologize. I actually got a new phone because my other phone broke, and I've lost 2 years worth of research, which is frustrating, to say the least. Very frustrating. To have lost all that research, but I will get it. I will persevere again, and work through it. Could you possibly talk about the last name Malone? I've tried. I can't really find a whole lot on it. Yeah, there's not really a whole lot on it. There are a few branches. I suppose the most famous branch are from Tipperary, from Clonmacnoise is probably the more famous line. It's or Westmeath, sorry. And they claim descent from the Southern Neil, so they're linked to the likes of the Fewers or the McLaughlins of Westmeath. So that's their it comes from like Moyle Owen, so like the follower or devotee of Owen. So you will find that there's like a number of branches that exist all over, who are like or Owen is like a variation of John, so Saint John. So you will find that there are branches scattered around that are unrelated, because these branches are devotees of John, but the main branch I believe is from Westmeath. So you're sort of looking central to the map, roughly where like the O'Mellan's or Loughlin's are. So yeah, I hope that gives you some sort of but I will do a video on all these families. And we'll see. So I descend from Monaghan in Burke and like to the castle. I'm sorry, zero. I tried to. I descend from Monaghan. So you're a Burke from Monaghan. I must admit that's. I mean, the De Burrs were in Monaghan, but way before they were ever in County Connacht or County Connacht, the province of Connacht. So yeah, obviously they became more famous over here in Connacht, but they were in Ulster first. So yeah, I'm not surprised. What castle do you go to? Broderick is Mr. Brooders. What a name, Mr. Brooders. Broderick is more associated with English and Welsh settlers. I do believe there is an Irish sort of branch of the name, possibly from Broder, but I'm not 100% on that, if I'm honest. I just know that the most Brodericks tend to come from English and Welsh settlers. but there is an Irish name, an Irish branch for O'Bruadair, but I don't know if that is an anglicized, an English name or Welsh name, an Anglo name that has been Gaelicized later on. So you will find that Norman names and English names, as families became, as the Irish language became standardized in the 19th century, in the English language, you start to see, Gaelicizations of English names. So that even very typically English names now on Irish passports, you will get an Irish version of it, shall we say. Edwards and Ford. Edwards is typically English or Welsh, really, found primarily in areas like Shropshire and Chestershire, along the borders, but it's a very common name in that area, especially in Shropshire. But obviously Shropshire used to be part of the Welsh sort of sphere kingdoms. So yeah, most will be Edwards will be mostly from those individuals. Like I say, hard to tell if you're Welsh or English with that name. But there are, as for Ford, there's a number of names that it can come from. It can come from like foreign. It can come from what's that other name? There's another name as well that gets anglicized to what do you call it? To Ford. I can't remember. It's like McGilla Atha, but I can't remember what the anglicized name variation of the name is. I can see it, but I can't. Anyway, the O'Forans. We'll just cover the O'Forans. I can't think of them. The O'Forans are from a split between sort of Kerry and Waterford. So you're looking south. The O'Forans often anglicize their name to Ford. I think it's because foreign is some link to water in their name, or something to do with it. A lot of the families, when they were anglicizing their names, used names that sort of referenced their old name. So I think foreign has something to do with water, like spring or something, and so they just went, well, we'll change our name to Ford, to because it's close enough, But yeah, Kerry's excuse me, is a big place where it's sort of associated with. Kinsella from Wexford. Yeah, Kinsella are actually. Where's my map here? So if we go here, why won't it let me zoom in? Where is my control? Excuse me, I might need to go get a drink. So the Kinsillas come from this tribal group, the Kinshillug, and it's an anglicization of that name. So they're linked to like the Kavanaghs, and a few other families in that area. But it's an anglicization of Kinshillug. Doyle rings a bell to anything. I am a Doyle. It rings a lot of bells. Excuse me. I might have to go get a drink. A Doyle is one of those names that often, if you try to Google it, it says that it's a Viking name. You're descended from a Viking, and from the Danish Vikings. The Danish Vikings have very little influence in Ireland. Most of the Vikings who came to Ireland were Norwegian. Dovegal tends to mean so the Vikings came across in effectively two waves. Although they were always present, and you had the Fingal and the Dovegal, which sort of those titles were given to Vikings to represent old and new Vikings. You see the same with all the new English settlers coming in later on. They're given two sort of different titles. But what happened is that a lot of Irish families were moving into these towns, these Viking towns, or Longfords, or these Norse settlements, shall we say, like Dublin, like Waterford, like Wexford, and they were given this sort of name of like Donegal, as a sort of nickname for individuals who are moving into Viking towns, as it were. So for work, for marriage, etc. And also Donegal was a name used by Irish people. It's found in the annals. I do have a video on the Doyles though. So you can be descended from any of these Donegal individuals, or you could be descended from an individual who moved into a Viking town. There's also a possibility there could be Norse related branches, unrelated Norse branches too, due to its links to the coast. But most Doyles will be of native Irish descent. There's also a Norman branch too. The Doilies are from England, and they settled in Ireland too, and anglicised their name to Doyle. So it's thing. Whelan is Whelan is part. There's two branches of the Whelans. There's the Dacia family. So if you want to watch the Dacia video, there's the Dacia family from Waterford. And then there's I believe there's a family from Donegal as well, but I've not researched them. But I do believe there might be a really small branch of the family unrelated from Donegal. So, but most are Dacia. Do you know anything about the Doyles? Based around Sligo. My sister's Doyles. I'm half Irish and half English, and my English name is Penny. So again, Doyles don't have like a long illustrious history like the McCarthys and O'Neills, purely because we are, I would say, just for an argument, we are the Smiths of Ireland, in the sense of no individual with the surname Smith is going to is descended. They're descended from an occupational name or a job title name, or all these sort of and so you had 1 million people all gaining the surname Smith at the same time, because when surnames came about in like England, they for taxation reasons, they suddenly, all the blacksmiths, all the goldsmiths suddenly became surname Smith because that was their job title. Doyle is the same, as all these Irish people are moving into these Norse towns in Ireland. Over basically as a collective group, they all become Doyles. So, or as the name gets anglicised, they all became Dovegals, but and then that gets anglicised to Doyle. So there's not really many like illustrious ancient histories to the Doyles, but we do appear scattered in records. Sligo not so much. But we do appear in records throughout the medieval period in scattered sources all over Ireland. But as for a specific branch, it's hard to just pin that down. Thank you for going over the O'Donovans. Do you know anything about the Fogartys? Yeah, the Fogartys, I know them too. I actually had a post on them on my Facebook a while ago. I'll probably turn that into a video, since I've lost so much stuff. But the Fogartys are from Tipperary, and they're another family that claim descent from the Dalcash. Their castle, one of their castles, is still it's a ruin, but it's still quite extant. It's in quite good nick. I think it's just missing its windows and roof. But they're mostly found in from Tipperary, and they are a place called Eliogarty, So that's where the Fogartys come from. So you're looking this neck of the woods here. See where this Butler sign is? And so on Thursday I'm going to do a members only live where we start editing this map a bit more. So I probably will put them in that day, please. McCarthy, I have a video on the McCarthys. I have a video on the McCarthys. Fingers crossed you got to the O'Sullivans in Cork. The O'Sullivans, I have a full video of the O'Sullivans on Red Button channel, link in my thing. But yeah, the O'Sullivans are an Owenocta family. They are some say the eldest, the senior line of the Owenocta Cashel, but they're heavily linked to the McCarthy. So they're actually from a place just outside Cashel in Tipperary originally, called Knockgraffin, and they would eventually be pushed out of Knockgraffin and settle in County Cork before being pushed on again to County Kerry. And you'd branch off into two sort of main branches, the O'Sullivan Beara and the O'Sullivan Moor. And they would be the second most powerful family to the McCarthys. In fact, there is an argument to say that they were probably they probably were just as powerful as the McCarthys, although they would sort of raid each other and attack each other. For the most part, the O'Sullivans were loyal to the McCarthys, mainly because they were head of inaugurating the McCarthy chiefs and handing that the McCarthy chief the white rod of rulership. There's no record of crowns in medieval Ireland, so we know that we had certain other important items like a white rod that symbolised the king's power, and the O'Sullivans were the main inaugurator of the McCarthys. So we know that, and also they were probably the biggest landholders in Kerry after the McCarthys, and probably more than the McCarthys. So yeah, very famously, they were very famously involved in the 9 Years' War in Ireland, and there's a very traumatic event or sad event where the O'Sullivans were forced to march 600 miles to O'Rourke territory in Breffna. 1,000 of them went, and only a handful made it up there. But yeah, that's the O'Sullivans. Great family, great, and I have a full video on them anyway. So so yeah, we'll hang on. Okay. Wow. So many names. I do. Ward is it comes from a number of places. Probably the most famous branch, I suppose, would be the Donegal family, from Mackinvaird, which is like Mackinbard. It's a poet. There is an English branch that settled in Ireland, and they were settled over here in around Carlingford, and they owned a castle which Winterfell was recorded at Castle Ward. So there is an English origin for that as well. So you do find that they sort of meet in the middle in Ulster. But yeah, the Muck Wards are traditionally associated with Donegal or County Down, and if you're County Down, you're normally probably the English branch, and if you're from Donegal side, you're probably from the Irish branch, who were hereditary poets and scholars. So yeah, that's the ward. McGregor is a Scottish name, so again, they're from Scotland. I don't have a map of Scotland, but they're from the Sol Alpin, a group of 7 families who claim descent from The MacAlpins, first sort of king to Alpin was obviously the first king to sort of unite the Picts in the traditional narrative, unite the Picts and the Gaels, and the MacGregors are one of the seven families that descend from his line. Obviously, most historians consider that to be fabrication, a grafted genealogy. But and the MacGregors don't really appear until much later, like a lot of Highland families in written records. They have a traditional story where they say they helped. They were given their lands in somewhere in Argyll for helping Robert the Bruce. I've personally researched the known gifts that we have for individuals given to Robert Bruce. And none of those records survive, so I haven't seen it. But they must have been at least allies of Robert the Bruce, because the Campbells were actually given that land in that area that the MacGregors claim, but they never kicked them off originally, so they must have been an allied family. So, but yes, that's the MacGregors. Rosaline, thank you. Thanks, Kat, for reminding people to hit the like button. Appreciate it. Yeah, if anyone can get across to YouTube, hit that like button. That'd be great. I don't expect gifts, which I'll just go through. Everyone, you don't have to gift to get your name mentioned. This is free information, but I really do appreciate it. It really does help the channel. But Cherry, Cody, Anne, Dragonfly, Ivy Moon, Roisin, Queen Peggy, Patricia Shea, Mr. Broads, Phoenix, Heather, Steve, Tina, Nate, 1972 Witchy Woman, Nina, Sean, Sarah, Christine, Chanty Laughed, Michael, Irish Chris, Shannon, Nicole, Bobby, Alana, Hootin, Annie, Smiley, Snowpop, Nicole Lewis, Alana, Sophia, Smiley. Thank you very much for all the gifts. I really do appreciate Flame Hearts, the Cream Cones, all of them. You don't have to gift. I do appreciate it. You don't have to though. But it does help the channel a lot. So, and hopefully one day we'll make it a job. Somehow we'll figure out how to make it a job, and then, but until then, we'll just carry on. Have you ever heard of Clan Revan? I have not heard of Clan Revan. I've heard of Clan Revan, with another E, little soul, which is probably, Revan could be a variation of that name. If I was to guess, I would say it's a variation of the O'Revens. So that would be, we're just going to go, or it could be a variation of Raven, which is an English name. We're gonna go for, say it's an Irish name for now, right? But the O'Revens are from Munster. If I can scroll down to it, where are we? Have I got the name written on this list? No. Right. Okay. No, they're not on here. But I'll probably write them. I'll probably write them on. I'll probably get them on when I start going through on Thursday. But yeah, from North Munster, so modern day Limerick, northern day County Kerry, and parts of Clare. So you sort of find them in this area. So the I don't know of any history of theirs though. I don't know of any sort of. They probably claim Dalcassian descent. But yeah, the O'Reevens are found primarily in this area. So, but but again, it could be a variation of Raven, in which case they came across with the multiple migrations from England. Hockey. I never. Hoey is another variation of that name. Hoey, hockey, Huey. lot of variations of that name, Barefoot. So I don't know how you pronounce yours or what variation of yours is. Most of that variation of name they claim to be Kennelowen, so they claim to stem from the same line as the O'Neills. So you get a lot of Hoeys, Hueys, that are associated with them. I believe that them more found in Armagh than this part of Ulster than anywhere else. But I'm not 100% excuse me on that, But yeah, they claim to be a Kennelowen branch, so they claim to be descended from the O'Neills. I think I did have notes on this family a long time ago, but unfortunately we lost them, which is frustrating. Hang on, let me try and get some of these names. Do you know anything on the surname Blake? Yeah, so Blake comes from a couple of obviously it's an English branch, but there is an Irish branch called the O'Blathmac or something like that. Blowick is another one. Is another like anglicization of it. I do believe they were, and I can't even check because I've lost all my. I had notes for all the hereditary clerical families, Erna families in Ireland, and I can't even check to see if they were one of them, because I'm pretty sure they were. But yeah, the Blathmacks are I'm pretty sure they were a clerical family, so they're associated with a church. But like I say, there's a Saint Blathmac in Scotland somewhere, and the name is associated with a 7th century king of the southern Neil, but I can't remember. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is that they're often anglicized to Blake. So Blake's a name that comes from Blathmac. So, and then you have the English Blakes who came across. McBrides, the McBrides, here you go, yeah. There you go, McBrides from McGillibridget. They're normally found, I think there might be a Scottish branch as well, but most McBrides in Ulster would be descended from the McGillibridgets of Donegal, and they are again part of the king group here, which is the Kennelowen. So they're again associated with lines of the O'Dohertys. I do believe that many of them spread across to like Derry and Antrim, but then obviously you got I believe there's a Scottish branch who come from Scotland who came across the plantations. So you do get a lot of sort of similar names. Trainer is a name I've covered before, not today, but so the Macan trainers are originally from sort of Monaghan, Armagh, and they most of them sort of anglicised their name to Armstrong, because in Irish trainer means like strong arm, so they just took on the Armstrong surname of people from the plantations who were settling in their area with similar names. So yeah, you do get a lot of, but most Macan trainers come from the Armagh and Monaghan, and are mostly now known as Armstrong. Finola, no worries. I'll speak to you soon. Have a great night. Night. Thank you very much for popping in. I appreciate it. I really do appreciate that. Thank you. Irvin, no worries at all. Bodkin, yeah, I've done a video on the Bodkins. They are an Anglo-Norman family from Galway, one of the 14 tribes of Galway. So the mercantile, they were a merchant family, one of the 14 merchant families in Galway who controlled the mercantile trade and the political side of Galway, and they had many sheriffs of Galway, many important positions within the Galway sort of council or government, but they claim to be a branch in their traditional narrative. They claim to be a branch of the Fitzgeralds, taking on a surname from fighting an Irish knight. An Irish knight is a ridri or ridra, and they used I think a spear, which is in Irish is a budkin or boydkin or something. I can't pronounce that or really remember it off the top of my head. Anyway, they took that as nickname as a surname. Their descendants would take that name as a surname. So, yeah. So you do get a lot of bodkins around Galway. So if you I haven't found the name anywhere else. So history of the Shaws. Shaw primarily is a Scottish name. I believe they're originally from like Aberdeenshire, and I do believe there's a couple of branches. It's also a very common surname in England, in northern England, around Yorkshire. So it's an English name, it's a Scottish name, so you will get a lot of Shaws that come across. It's also a variation of O'Shea. So some O'Sheas have been anglicised to Shaw. So most Shaws will be of Scottish, of English descent, and a few will be, if you're from the Kerry sort of part of the world, Tipperary maybe, the O'Sheas might anglicise their name to Shaw. The O'Sheas are an Anglo-Norman family, so you can be Scottish, English, Anglo-Norman, or Irish if you've got the name Shaw. Probably most likely descend, probably depending where you're from. If you're from Ulster, it's going to be English or Scottish. If you're from sort of Tipperary, it's probably going to be either English or Anglo-Norman, and if you're from Kerry, you're probably going to be Irish. Is Swain and what does that say of where did I see that? I just seen a question about the name Swain, but I missed it. I have a video on the Doyles if you want to go. And McCormick's, I have a video on the McCormick's, Joe. Literally the last video I did. So, if you want to check that out, and then if you have any questions, again, I'll try and answer it, I suppose. if it doesn't answer all your questions. Ah, I'm losing. I'm trying to go back to some of these questions because I know that I've missed so many names. So I do apologize. If I have missed your name, just keep typing it. I will try and get to as many as I can. Unfortunately, I do have two chats, so uh, um, I will try to get as many as I can. My name is McGibbony, possibly in County Tyrone, maybe as Gibbony. Oh, that just refreshed again. Holler, I'll get to Gibbony. Holler, asking about the Campbells. The Campbells are Irish and Scottish. There's two different branches, unrelated. But check, I do have a video on the Campbells. Anyway, I think someone was asking about the McGibneys. So I'll just sort of I missed it. It flew past, but I'll try and just give you an idea of the McGibneys. So Gibbon is a Norman name. So most McGibbons will be of or Gibbons will be of Norman descent, and that can be from the Anglo-Norman invasion of Ulster, or maybe the Norman branches settled in Scotland first and then come across to Ulster later. But there is a very small McGibbons who are said to be Irish in Ulster as well, around sort of Tyrone, and they are said to be a small sept. I think when I read up on the McGibneys, they were sort of postulating that this is a family that's an Irish family that's become sort of married into Normans, but I don't really see that ever happening. Obviously the Irish and the Normans were intermarrying quite a lot. What I mean is I don't see a Irish family taking on a Norman name very often. So whether that's what happened is up for debate. But so we will just say that for the most part, most of them are from Norman descent. Maybe there's a small Irish branch in Tyrone. Further research needed. Without giving you too much sort of false information or conjecture. Walker were a fine clan. Do you know anything about the family Walker? I don't know of any specific clan. I mean, I thought Walkers were were a lowland family, so I don't know of any the clans, but I'm near sure the Walker is the same as like the Shaws. There's English and Scottish branches, a lot of Scottish branches and a lot of English branches. But yeah, I thought I know the branch of Lothian, the Lothian branch of Walkers became very, very famous. But I like to say, I don't know of any like clan as such. Although there is an Irish branch from Ulster too, so you do get English Walkers, Scottish Walkers, and Irish Walkers. There is a branch in Ulster. What are they called? It's like Macon Food Care, something like that. Macon Fuller, but they're mostly associated again with sort of Tyrone and Armagh. and I believe Leinster as well. So yeah, I am from TikTok. Do I don't just read. I don't just read this. But well done. Thank you for making the migration across to to YouTube. I greatly appreciate it. I do try and even out the name, the reading in both chats. But yeah. So you want me to do the Cocorans? Yeah, the Cocorans are a Tipperary and Offaly family. But there are branches literally everywhere. I believe they're mostly associate themselves with the Dalcash. Most branches, the main branch sort of associates themselves with Dalcash, but I'm pretty sure the name can be found the whole way up of Connacht. It's basically like Mayo, Sligo, Roscommon. It can be found anywhere, but the most famous ones are associated with Ely, which is where anywhere you would see. Oh, hang on. Let's. Yeah, anywhere you would see the O'Carrolls, you would sort of find the Cocorans as well. So, but yeah, they're around. I think they were maybe even branches, maybe. So they claim Dalcash descent, but they may also be part of the Ely O'Carrolls. So, and I believe one of the families up in Sligo and Mayo were earners as well. Where are the Malones at? Where are the Malones? The Malones haven't been. We're going to be putting names on these on Thursday, but Malones are from Westmeath. I've already done them. What would be given name Moneymaker translate? What would the given name Moneymaker translate from? I should probably do a test to see. I don't know. A banker? Yeah, I don't know. Moneymaker. I will say, if anyone's coming on the live, McCormick, same as McCormick. Yes, McCormick is the same as McCormick. Tiffany, I have a video on this on my. Literally, the last video I did was the McCormicks. Please, I've been commenting for an hour on both TikTok and here. Mary Kate, where have you been? Oh yes, I see you. Sorry. Kate, let me just answer this question and I will get to you. Yeah, so I have on the McCormicks. I have, but most people will say McCormick is Scottish, McCormick is Irish. Although that is the variations. You do find McCormick more commonly in Scotland and Ulster, and McCormick in Ireland. They are interchangeable. So yeah, it's it doesn't denote where you're from. So Mary Kate Witten. Yeah, I apologise for missing your name. I just sort of glance across, and whichever name catches my eye normally is what I get to. But yeah, so Bogan is Scottish and has Scottish and Irish branches. In Ulster, it's normally found in South Ulster, so Monaghan or Armagh, and obviously those in Northern Ulster tend to be of Scottish descent. It's only a small name from Scotland. It wasn't really a massive name that came across. And then the other one is from Laois. So you get like another branch in the south. as well. So there are a number of, if they're from, I think the branch from Laois would probably be associated with the O'Connor Feelies. They were the most dominant tribe in that area. As for the Bogans in Ulster, I'm not sure who they claim descent from, but the two main sort of progenitors in this area would be the Erchella, which is a tribal group found in South Ulster, or the Kenaloan. But I'm not aware of who they claim descent from. But yeah, they're found primarily in those sort of regions. So Armstrong is an Irish and Scottish name. We just sort of went over it with the trainers. So Armstrong, well, I suppose technically it's an English surname because their lands were, although they were part of the Reaver Culture Society, they obviously on the Scottish and English borders, their lands were on the now English held side of the border. The funny thing is they get their name apparently because they saved Robert the Bruce, I think is the king they claim they saved, by placing him on a horse with one arm as a boar was coming, which is why the boar is their sigil. It's obviously complete fabrication, mainly because every family seems to have some link to the kings of Scotland and saving them from all these animals. Either that or the Scottish monarchy had a real problem with the wildlife of Scotland. But a lot of them moved to Ireland during the plantations. And from that, a lot of Irish families, families with similar Irish names, like the MacGan trainers, which means in Irish it means strong arm, anglicised their name to Armstrong. So if you're from like sort of South Ulster, you're probably from the Irish branch of the Armstrongs, who are unrelated. If you're from Northern Ulster, you're probably from the Scottish plantations that came across in the early modern period. So yeah, one more request before I log off. Did I miss a name? Oh, Patton. Well, I guess I should have kind of guessed that with your surname. Yeah, so Patton's got an English, Scottish and Irish sort of branches who are all obviously all unrelated. Most, I think, the Pattons in Ulster are normally Scottish or Ulster Scots, which means that the ones in Donegal maybe also a lot of Donegal is Ulster Scot. If you look here, where's my map? Map. And then how do I zoom out? So see that southern half of Donegal is had a lot of Scottish undertakers. Obviously the northern branches. I do know that there is the O'Petains are an Irish branch, but I'm not actually sure where they're from. I can't remember off the top of my head. So yeah, I think if the O'Petains aren't from Donegal, then the Pattons of Donegal are Scottish. But if they are from Donegal, then they could be both, Irish or Scottish. I'm going to have a quick... Shall we have a quick look while you... Let's have a nosy. Okay, they're an Ulster family according to McFirbis. Okay, so... Yeah, alright, so they're from... The Pattons, they're from Northern Ulster. Northern Donegal are Irish, and if they're from Southern Donegal, they're Scottish. There you go. Possibly. It's not common in Mayo and North Galway. Yeah, descended from the Kinlowen. There you go. I did not know that one. I knew they existed. I just didn't know where. So, and I do appreciate your effort on your part. Sweet, great information, fascinating history on all these clans. Thanks, Keith, man. It's great to have you in here. Have a good night. I know my direct descendant came from Achill, but that's all I know. It's okay. Right, what time are we getting on to? Reynolds. Did I do a video on the Reynolds? So someone pointed out to me Reynolds. So yeah, the Reynolds are from the McRagnalls, but I've got them down here as McReynolds. But someone pointed out to me quite correctly. I have them incorrectly written down here as McReynolds. Even though they are of an Irish branch family from Leitrim, the Mac doesn't really exist in many of the families, on all the families of Leitrim. So, my family's McGregor, Scotch Irish from Northern Ireland. Just don't know where. Yeah, I don't cover modern history and plantations of Ulster. So Scottish families coming into Ulster is the early modern period. It's kind of the end of my search. So don't really. I would cover more ancestral homelands. So the McGregors are obviously from Argyll, and came across with the plantations in the early modern period into Ulster. But I wouldn't be able to tell you where they settled, because they settled, all the Scottish planters sort of settled in multiple locations. So they didn't just all congregate into one area. So you would have McGregors scattered all around Ulster. And by then you're sort of getting into the 17th century, 16th century, when a lot of them more will come across, and that's outside my time period, unfortunately. So Kat's just made a very good point. Consider becoming a member, because there's members only lives on Thursdays. So if you don't get your name mentioned today, because I haven't seen it, or I haven't had or we've run out of time, which we will run out of time very shortly. It's detected that the live chat didn't appear on your screen for the last 2 minutes. Try using. Oh, okay. That's interesting. Right. Yeah, if I miss it, then members only lives are a lot smaller, so they're a lot easier for me to see your name. So, and I also I reply to members only messages as well. So if you have any questions, but if you are gifting, thank you very much. You don't have to gift, but I do appreciate it. I've done McCarthy and McCabe. Keenans are from Fermanagh, primarily. They were an ecclesiastical family or Erna family, and then I obviously found all of Ireland. It also can be a variation of McKinnon. So you do get that. McCormack and Murphy, I've got videos on my TikTok already about them. Murphy from Mercata and a couple of other surnames. They are found mostly in coastal regions, often anglicised to Murray as well. It's interchangeable with Murray. But yeah, it's not a Norse Viking name as some websites claim. But yes, it's it is found mostly in coastal regions. I think it means like sea battler, which is where that confusion's come from. But mostly they're related to the McMurrows or the Murrays. But yeah, I have a full video on the Murphys on my channel. Doherty, Doherty's a part of the Kinlowen. They are found in Donegal, and there's another. They were I think horse lords for the O'Donnells, even though they were only distantly related to them. Led a famous rebellion, failed rebellion in 1609 against the city of Derry. There is a small Doherty branch down here in Galway who are unrelated, but I do have a full video of them on my Red Button channel. So yeah, it's Lucas. Yeah, Lucas. I don't know if that's originally. I know Lucas is an English name. I don't know if there's an Irish branch of that. But I don't know. I'm really not sure about that. I know Lucas is an English name, but I haven't come across it in my research as an Irish name. That doesn't mean that it's not. I just haven't come across it. I just know it as an English name, unfortunately. O'Shea, I have a video on the O'Sheas, but the O'Sheas are a Cork Duvna family, found in County Kerry. But I have a video on them there. The O'Sullivans and the McCarthys and the Fitzmaurices kind of eradicated their land holding share of Kerry, and they sort of took on some more clerical roles later on. But yeah, they're originally from here. A branch from the O'Sheas from Tipperary sort of claim descent from them, but they're not. They're O'Hagans. I have a video on the O'Hagans, a variation of a couple of names, O'Hadigan and O'Hagan. But the most famous branches are from Tullyhock, I believe is the correct pronunciation of Tully, what is written as Tullyhogue, and that's where they crowned the O'Neills of Tyrone. The O'Hagans were, but I have a video on this, but they crowned the kings of the O'Neills. So yeah. Joe, what are you in that? What have I missed? Let's have a look here. McDonough. Yeah, the problem with McDonough is it comes from Donegal, which is a very common surname in Ireland and Scotland. It's variations from Donaghy, McDumphy, McDonough, the Daniel. It literally is McDermott. It literally is a very common surname. So a McDonough is a variation of all that, which then becomes, interchangeable. Most McDonoughs are associated with Sligo and Mayo, just outside a wee place in Ballina, because there's a lot of small families in Ballina, variations of families in Ballina. Around Ballina, although it was a land held by the Bruin, most of them were actually Fiacre, which was the two tribal groups in the area. So you do find it's a border region where a lot of families have sort of relations on both sides. But yeah, the McDonoughs are a variation of or a branch of the McDermotts in Connacht. But like I say, you will get the Donnellys, the Donahues are another. Let's get this. Donahues is a variation because it comes from Donegal. The McDonaghys is a variation of McDonough. So again, there's McDermotts up in Donegal too. So you can see anywhere you see Donahoe, Donahue, Donnelly, McDermott, they're all sort of interchangeable because they all come from the name Donegal. So you can come from any of those branches effectively. But yeah, there's a lot of them, and they all have. A lot of them have great histories, but I can't go through them all because there's so many of them. You know, like the McDermotts of Moylurg, who are part of the Ebruin, probably one of the most famous McDermott branches. If I can get my screen to go back to it. Here you go. And there you go. I've put a variation of that. I'm a Maxwell. Our history is fascinating. Yeah, most Maxwells come from Scotland. Most Maxwells came across the plantations, and would be quite prevalent in areas like the Ards Peninsula has got a lot of Maxwells in it. The most famous branches of not most famous but most numerous are definitely in Ireland are definitely of Scottish descent, and will be found in anywhere you sort of find Ulster Scots sort of variations. But I do believe there is a branch from Leinster who come from the O'Meskills. A Leinster branch who come from the O'Meskills. Well, I think it's Northern Leinster, sort of like Louth and stuff like that, who are Irish. They come from, like I said, they come from the O'Meskills. McKean, please. Hi Dave, welcome in. You're an absolute beast for trooping through this, sounding as under the weather as you do. Many thanks. Thank you. Yes, I didn't want to whinge. But I am a little bit under the weather. Throat is very sore. I've been complaining that I need to get water for a little bit. But I will get some water soon. We're pushing past our time to end. So I'll get a drink then and get some rest. I've got work tomorrow as well. Find the YouTube followed sub. Thank you, the Hollow Moon. Thank you very much. Shaw, please. I've done Shaw. Shaw is Scottish, English and Irish. The English branches tend to come from Northern England, Yorkshire, that sort of place. I believe the Scottish branch are found in sort of Aberdeenshire, is it? Close to where the Blairs are found, and then some shores in Ireland will be related to the O'Shees. McPherson, please. McPherson's a Scottish name. I will say Scottish names are my weakest sort of subject. I will point you towards Clint Edwards at Scottish Clans Podcast, who knows way more about Scottish families than I ever will. I primarily do the Scottish Highland clans or the Lowland families, who came across only because of the Lowlands families' links to Ulster with the plantations. But I know that the McPhersons are part of the famous clan Chattan, the Chattan Confederacy. I believe there's a myth that they are linked to the Chattan Germanic tribe or something, but for the most part, I think they're found like around Inverness here and stuff like that. But they did come across to Ireland as well with the plantations. Obviously, I don't know if everyone knows, but the plantations was an event in Irish history where native Irish landholders were forced off their land, so Scottish and English settlers could settle this land. So you will get, and it happened around the 16th, 17th century. So whenever I say the plantations, that's what I'm referring to. Have a shot instead. Yeah, I know. Madden let a hole. Yeah, Maddens are who are they? Who are the Maddens? They are a come on, I can see the name. They're related to the O'Kellys. Oh, the Yavina. They're an Yavina, the tribal group, the Yavina. They're found in South Roscommon, east sort of Galway. They were part of the Sil Amakada, which is a branch of the Yavina, and quite a prominent family within Galway. But they're found here in large numbers. Murphy, I have a video on the Murphy. Where do the McKees originate from? No, you're banned. I don't do the McKees. No, you're fine. I'm only joking. The McKees are a variation of McGee, McHugh, McHay, Hayes, Ojeda. There's so many variations of the name. It comes from the medieval name A or E, spelled AEDH or AODH. There's so many variations of the name. Mackay, McKay, Keys, they're all variations, and a lot of them are quite famous branches too. So the Mackays of northern Scotland were famously Gallowglass in Ireland, and you have the McGees of County Down. You have the McGees of you have the O'Hughes of Antrim, the McHughes of Tyrone, the McGees of Donegal, multiple famous branches, all the Hayes of Munster, all variations of the same name. So they're all interchangeable. So it's very McKee is basically like the surname. Like I use Smith as an example, but it's like the surname Smith in Ireland, where it's just found absolutely everywhere with hundreds of unrelated families. So yeah, it's a bit of a hard one to cover, which is why I get a bit like when people ask for it. Moyles, Moyles has a couple of variations or branches found in Leinster and Mayo primarily. I believe it's the saint, the devotee of a saint, if I remember rightly, but I don't remember which saint. Probably oil. I don't know. This comes from like the Megillah. Sort of variation of the name as a descendant of or devotee of a saint. But like I say, most of them are found in sort of Mayo, Sligo is found in large numbers. And it's also found in most areas of Connacht, but that's the heartland for it. I think they've got links to a church, but I can't remember which church because I lost all my notes on it, which is frustrating. Someone was asking about the surname Leon earlier. Leon is a Irish and Scottish name, Irish and English name from De Leon, which is a Norman name, and then you have the Donegal branch of the Oleahin. Mostly the Oleahin are found in Munster, but there seems to be a small branch in Donegal too. So there you go. Fitzpatrick has a few branches. The most famous Fitzpatricks are found in modern day Kilkenny, the ancient kingdom of Usruga. They were part of the Dalburn king group, although there is a small unrelated family, possibly related. They claim descent, but I'm yet to see the link. But there's a Fitzpatrick in Fermanagh too. Publified that there may be, excuse me, yawning away here, Norman branches of the family too, because Fitz, although it's a Norman prefix of a surname meaning son of, Irish families did adopt it, most famously the Fitzpatricks, but you will have Norman families that obviously adopted the name Patrick as well, so there's probably a Norman branch out there, Norman branch or two out there. So yeah, I've got a video on the Doyles. Is do of Scottish or Irish name? I've never come across that, Siobhan. DHU. Never come across that. Is that a... It's phonetically do. If you say do, it's like dove, which means black or dark or gloomy. But yeah, I don't know of any do, the name do. Judy. That made me laugh, Judy. I don't mind them asking. I'll point them to. But thank you, Judy, for for putting that out. McKeon is a variation of a couple of names. So it's a variation of like McCahan. So it can be like the O'Kanes of which I have a video for. But it's also a variation of the McCains or McKeans of or son of John, found in Scotland. So you do have two branches that are sort of unrelated. Obviously the McCahans or O'Kanes, O'Cahans are from sort of Derry, and the McCains are found in Antrim and North Down. So depending on sort of where you come from might link you to which branch you descend from. It's pronounced do. I'm not Siobhan. Honestly, I've never come across it. I will have to have a look, and have a nosy at that, because I've never come across it before. That's so interesting. Has anyone asked about the name Kerry? Kerry comes from a few branches. Kerry is one of those ones that's got a lot of names. It comes from the O'Kira, O'Kieran, and I think even the McFakra and O'Carans anglicised the name to Kerry too. There's quite a few Kerrys. There's a famous branch of Kerrys from sort of Louth, who were rulers there. We have branches in Offaly and Meath. The O'Kerrys are quite common in there. So there's quite a lot of Kerrys about. I think there's Kerrys in Munster too. So there's quite a few, because it becomes, like I say, because it comes from like 3-4 different surnames, you do get them spread out quite a lot. Is Curran Irish? Curran is Irish. What about Doyle? Doyle's got a video on Doyle. I've got a video on Doyle on the channel. Feel free to go nosy. Any questions? Come back here. I will happily talk about it. Anyway, we were talking about currants. Currants are found all over. Again, Munster, Waterford, Ulster, Derry, Mayo, all unrelated, all um, coming from different branches, coming from different variations of the name. The Munster and Ulster branches are probably the most numerous and most famous. The Munster currants, I believe, are part of the Oanocta, and the Ulster branch claim descent from the wider Kenaloan, so they're descended from the same sort of tribal group as the O'Neills. So they do get about. Right. I was told by my sister at church that it was an Irish name for black. Yes, dove is a black. Normally it's dove is D-U-B-H, and then it's been anglicised to like duff, or a D-O would like, but D-H-U, I've never seen it spelled like that. So dove do means black, gloomy, dark. Is Griffiths Welsh or Irish? It's both, and English. McCusker Irish or Scottish? It's both. It's both as well. You're right. I will just say for anyone asking if a name is Irish or Scottish, the most where the clan Campbell clan. Well, the Irish branches are written here, the Scottish branches are written here. But so most McCusker, Campbell, what other names we ask for? If you ask if they're Scottish or Irish, the 99.9% of them, so the Campbells are Scottish and Irish. There's different branches, unrelated branches. McCuskers, there's different branches, unrelated branches. So there are a lot of unrelated families with variations because they're both speaking the same. The Gaelic and Gaelic, Gaeilge, Irish and Scottish Gaelic, they didn't diverge until the 14th century. So they were the same language until the 14th century. So it's you're gonna have variations of, and then obviously we have a lot of influence from the same. We both had a lot of English families coming in, and the English language became the dominant language, so names were standardized in the 19th century. So you sort of get a lot of overlap with our surnames, our modern surnames. You've got to remember most of these names are modern variations, modern anglicizations. Ruddy or Roddy is a variation of a family found primarily in sort of Ulster. You get them in Monaghan and Armagh, and then you get them in Roscommon too. I believe the Roscommon branch claim descent from the Ivina. Right. But we're starting to hang on. I prefer Dublin to Blackpool. yeah, that's true. Word not named. Apologies. Oh, okay. Word not named. Okay, Siobhan. It's all right. McMurrow is the McMurrow, please, if you can, visit Ireland in 2011. I was told by guides I would not see my family in many places. See, that's the problem with guides, because they fall for one very simple mistake, and McMurrow is a variation of McMurrough, which is very common. It's just another way that it's been spelled. So you would have found your name all over Leinster if you had known that the McMurroughs, which is this variation here, is just a variation of your name. or it can also be a variation of Murphy. It can also be a variation of Murray. McMurroghs are descended from Dermot McMurrogh, from his father Murrogh, and very famously, obviously Dermot is the individual who invited the Normans across to Ireland. Not entirely his fault. It was his fault they came across, but he had his reasons for asking the Normans to help him get his kingdom back. They're related to the likes of the Kavanaghs, etc. So, he's fading, folks. I am fading. I'm glad you're so aware of this. You're starting to see the old signs. How about the McNamara's? The McNamara's are Dalcash family. They were famous marshals, so leaders of his armies of the Dalcash, and they are related to the likes of the O'Briens. Macmillans are Scottish and Irish. I'm having a final little burst here before I go. So the Irish branch, I believe, is it Donegal? Most of them are Scottish, though. You will get a variation of Mullins, Macmillans. I think they're a variation of each other, but I can't remember. Most of them are Scottish, but I'm pretty sure there's an Irish branch too. I just don't have them written down here. We'll maybe add them on Thursday on the Members Only Live. Sadly, let the English in. Well, to be fair, I wouldn't say let the English in. He let the Cambro Normans in, I don't know. I think the Normans did as much bad as they did good, like any other group. But I think the English would have eventually come across anyway, regardless of Dermot. We were too strategically important, especially with the Spanish such a threat. Yes, is McCarthy a variation of O'Carthy or McCarthy or both? Yes, so McCarthy and O'Carthy are interchangeable. So if you are McCarthy, you could come from the O'Carthy lines, found in Leinster and Galway. It's just, or you could be an O'Carthy, but actually you're a McCarthy from Munster. So they are interchangeable. I do have a video on them. So, please. We'll just say I have a video on the Murphys, Lisa. I will just say, if you're writing a name in Irish, my Irish is very basic, and if I'm reading through 400 comments, then I'm not able to translate it that quickly, so I just end up missing past it unless it's a really obvious ones. Do you have a video on the Finnerty? No, I do not have a video on them yet. Unfortunately, I lost all my notes. I'm trying to recover them, but I don't think I will be able to, so I'm going to have to start from scratch, unfortunately, which is very frustrating, but I will just let you know, just off the top anyway, that Finnerty are a variation of the Yvina, so they're related to the likes of like the O'Kellys, and mostly associated with Roscommon. Anything on Fitzgerald, millions of things on Fitzgerald. If you go on Red Button channel, I've got a million things about the Fitzgeralds. The Fitzgeralds are a Cambro-Norman family, were very important in the Norman invasion of Ireland. Invasion of Ireland seems a bit it wasn't like a standard collective group of a homogenous group invading, like a country invading. It was just individuals part of a similar sort of society and cultural group that sort of went on a massive land grab shopping spree, as it were. But yeah, they came across in 1169 and split off into two famous branches: the Fitzgeralds of, I can't even remember because we're getting tired now. And the Fitzgeralds of Desmond. But they were two dominant lines. The Fitzgeralds of Desmond would eventually fade into obscurity for the most part due to two failed rebellions against the English. Do you know anything about the O'Hara name? Yeah, there's a few O'Haras. The most famous branch is here in Sligo. I believe they're related to the likes of the Ifea Anya, which is the like O'Dowds, so they're from the same kin. I do believe this O'Hara branch in Derry does sort of claim descent from the same family, from the Sligo family. I'm yet to prove or disprove that story, but they certainly claim descent. So yeah, they're related to like the O'Dowds for the most part. C. Smith. Right. Anything on Welsh? Welsh is it means basically a Welshman. So there's no single individual that they all descend from. They're just descended from Welsh people coming across to Ireland in the multiple migrations. So you had a lot of Welsh who were part of the Norman armies. Most of the retinues that made up Norman's armies. So there was only so many knights who were Cambro-Norman, and the foot soldiers and the archers would have been Welsh. Most of them were given lands to some degree, and would be given the surname Walsh. Most of the early Welsh settlements failed, and they would return back, but some stayed. So there's been a lot of backwards and forwards over the last 800 years. Again, consider becoming a member. It's great. Not as many people, a more intimate affair. It is more intimate. You all get me all alone in a room for a couple of hours on a Thursday night, and I give you a bit more information. And if I don't know the information, we can go research it together. Whelan are a Dacia family. They're from Waterford. Right. But I am that's it. What time? Usual time, Willow? 10. So, Willow, you won't know. It's sort of been talked to me. So, before I go, just say, consider becoming a member. We've got a new schedule. So, Tuesdays will be lives like this. Wednesdays will be either lives like this or lives on a specific topic with Irish Medieval History, Philip at Irish Medieval History, and Dr. Owen O'Neill from Forest Fierce. So the Wednesdays will be sort of one of those lives, and then Thursdays will be my members only lives. Where it's this, but I edit the map and we have a bit more of a chat. You can ask more in-depth conversation topics and I can give you longer answers. So if you want to consider becoming a member, please check that out. No, it's alright, Willow. I was going to actually update it this week, but I broke my phone. I've got a new phone now. Bit more structure, a bit more routine now that we live in a place with more access to internet. So right, I'm gonna what time is work tomorrow? Work tomorrow is at 06:30, so I've got to be up in what time is it now? 1:45. Yeah, I've got to be up in like 4.5 hours. So yes, I'm going to end the live there. And if I missed your name, I'm sorry. You can either become a member and I'll see you on Thursday, or I will see you next Tuesday, as the live tomorrow is on YouTube and it's about Christianity and pagan Ireland. So with Dr. Owen O'Neill and Philip from Irish Medieval History. So until then, I will see you all soon. Yes, Dave, I know. Love this. So glad I came across this. No, thank you very much for coming. I hope to see you all soon. And until then, have a great night. And thanks very much for tuning in. Really do appreciate it. So, I just found you, Dawn. Don't worry, it's a regular thing. I will see you all soon. Take care now. Slán go fóin.